Hello, my name is Jacob Monk. Welcome to this little video about 3 lies that the Danish school children learn in school. These lies are state-sponsored lies that every school child in Denmark has to learn, no matter that is a factual lie. I'm not talking about my personal opinions, my personal political views. I'm talking about historical facts. But these 3 lies are the poor Danish school children, and probably school children in many other countries too, they are forced to learn and to believe in. Well, lie number 1. Well, before the Reformation, 1536 in Denmark, the Catholic priests, they spoke Latin. You learn that in school in Denmark. Most of the school teachers believe it themselves, although it is a pure lie. No, the Catholic priests in Denmark in Catholic times, before the Reformation, they didn't speak Latin. Latin was much too complicated for them to understand or to speak. And when they made a sermon, it was in Danish, not in Latin. We know that 100% sure because we have written sermons from the Catholic time. But the reason that the Protestant leadership in Denmark tells this lie to the school children is to make them hate the Christian faith, hate the Pope and the Catholic Church, and that means hate the rest of the Christian world. But it is a lie. The Catholic priests spoke Danish, not Latin, during sermons in Catholic times. Well, lie number 2. Who won Second World War? In the school, the children, they learn that America won Second World War. America liberated Germany and liberated Denmark. But this is a pure lie. The American invasion in Europe happened only 4 months before the end of the world. Before the end of the war. The destruction of the German army was made 95% of the Russians. Well, the Russians, they lost 27 million people in the fight against Hitler. USA lost less than 300,000 people. So you see, there are more, around 100 Russian soldiers and citizens being killed every time one American soldier is being killed. 95% of the German soldiers being killed were killed by the Russians. So it was the Russians who defeated Nazi Germany. And even in Denmark, we have a small island called Bornholm. It was liberated by the Red Army. And the Red Army lost around 30 soldiers in the campaign against the occupying Germans in Bornholm. The Americans never came to Denmark before the Germans had surrendered. So the Americans lost 0 soldiers in the campaign to liberate Denmark. The Russians lost 30 soldiers. So there is a difference. And the conclusion is that it was not the Americans, but the Russians that liberated Europe from the Nazis. Well, third but not least, you know the myth about 6 million dead Jews. Well, this myth, you can read it everywhere. If you read Encyclopedia Britannica from 1956, a Jewish historian in this big article about the Second World War, he writes nothing at all about 6 million dead Jews, nothing at all about gas chambers. If you listen to the speeches of Theodore Roosevelt, the American president, there was nothing about gas chambers and killing some Jews. The speeches of Stalin contained nothing about 6 million dead Jews. Well, even if you read the Russian communist papers, Daily News, the days after the Russians had liberated Auschwitz, they didn't say any single word about gas chambers. They only said that a lot of Jews were killed, and they were killed in a swimming pool with electricity. In a swimming pool with electricity. Yeah. Winston Churchill, he wrote a six-volume book about the history of the Second World War. There you'll read nothing about gas chambers, extermination of Jews and 6 million dead Jews. But if you go to American, Canadian, European Jewish papers before the Second World War, you read a lot of time about the 6 million dead Jews. Even in the edition of Encyclopedia Britannica from 1902, there you read about 6 million dead Jews, but not in Germany. It was in Russia. So some authors, they believe that every time Jews are killed, 6 million Jews are killed. This is a mythological, a historical statement. It has absolutely no truth when it comes to Second World War. What Hitler wanted to do was to use the Jews as labor force. Auschwitz was a labor camp where they produced all the needs they needed in Germany, because the German workers, they were occupied as soldiers on the East Front and elsewhere. So there are 3 lies that the Danish school children has to believe, although they are factual lies. 1, the lie about Latin in the church before the Reformation. It's a lie that constitutes the hate against the Catholic Church that you will find as a core of Danish foreign policy. Second, the idea that America won Second World War is the core idea behind the Danish membership of NATO, the American military alliance. And third, the lie about the 6 million Jews being killed in gas chambers. This is historical nonsense, and this is the basic belief of all the nations that want to be followers, fans of racist nation number one in this world, and that is Israel, the only nation that has for nearly 50 years had a foreign nation occupied, and that nation is Palestine. Well, this was about the truth and the lies. The lies you learn as a children in school, in a Danish school. And probably if you have a child in a German school, in an English school, in a French school, you learn somehow the same. I'm not quite sure, but remember, going to school is the same as having to receive and having to believe lies. Thank you.